This episode of Around the Layout is brought to you by Spring Creek Model Trains. Family owned for 25 years, Spring Creek is your destination for model trains. Check out springcreekmodeltrains.com for a wide variety of offerings from today's top manufacturers and exclusive products found nowhere else. Whether in Deschler, Nebraska, or at a train show near you, stop in and say wow. To see where they'll be next, visit their website at springcreekmodeltrains.com. From trackside to roadside and wherever you'd see a sign, Scale Signs has it all. With over 1,400 offerings in N, HO, S, and O scale, Scale Signs has the largest collection of fine scale signs on the planet. Come see the details that bring your models to life on their website, scalesigns.com. ATLP Extra is our monthly newsletter delivered right to your inbox each month. Sign up for free at atlpextra.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Around the Layout, where model railroaders come to tell their story. My name is Ray Arnott, so glad you could join us. It's time once again to find out what's happening in model railroading. And joining me to do that, the editor of Model Railroad News, Tony Cook. Tony, good to see you again.
Ray, how you doing? Can you believe it has been over 2 months since we were in Nebraska? I was just messaging with Mike Zucker earlier today, and that hit me that it's like 2 months ago. This summer has gone so quickly. You know, we were there July 4th weekend, and here we are now in the middle of September. Yet that literally seems like, you know, that was a couple of weeks ago. I think I still have like sodas in the cooler I need to clean out.
Between Deschler in the beginning of the month, and we had the St. Louis RPM, and then August has been full of events for me, and it's just been busy. The summer is gone. The cooler weather is here now. And I think that means, although you don't agree that there's a model railroad season, it's getting to that point where it's going to heat up. It's cooling off out there. It's heating up in train rooms and sheds and basements and everywhere else where folks work on layouts. So we have arrived.
This is the absolute model railroad season is kicking off now. But as I say, no, I think it's a year-round sport, and I would compare it to the excitement that, like in one of my hometowns, Kansas City, the Chiefs are never far from your eyes in Kansas City. There's always that, you know, talk of what's going to happen and what's going on, that it's just that big a football town. And to me, that's railroading, or model railroading too. It's all the time. I mean, yeah, it never stops.
Yeah, that's for sure. And, it's always fun to roll into this season. And then, of course, seeing all the new things that are rolling out that we can incorporate into these projects. And I know you've got a list of HO and N and everywhere in between, but I think we got a book to talk about as well to start.
Absolutely. Absolutely. White River Productions' new hardcover book, Gateway Western Regional in Transition, is by Ryan Crawford, James Lunard, and Matthew Fricks. And just a spectacular book covering a real challenging period for what was once part of the Illinois Central Gulf that was spun off in the late 1980s as a new regional serving Chicago, St. Louis, and Kansas City, the Chicago, Missouri, and Western, which quickly failed and put a lot of things in jeopardy. I mean, here's Amtrak, one of their busy corridors, Chicago, St. Louis. The Texas Eagle, a long-distance train from Chicago to Texas, ran on the Chicago-St. Louis portion. And this was a railroad that was down to about 10-mile-an-hour speed restrictions on about 99% of the system. I mean, It was a dire situation. And you get Santa Fe involved, you get Southern Pacific involved, the Gateway Western is created, the state of Illinois helps with funding, and it all really gets turned around. And today, that west end, Kansas City into St. Louis, is CPKC from Kansas City Southern. And then the Chicago St. Louis piece spun into an SP subsidiary about the time the Gateway started. And it, of course, will be part of the Union Pacific today. And it's high-speed Amtrak. So I remember bouncing along on the Texas Eagle about 1989 or 90. I was in one of the front cars where they would use a transition. It was an old El Capitan step-up car. And I was sitting there talking with the conductor on board, and he had his briefcase open doing his paperwork, and it was bouncing so hard he was constantly grabbing that briefcase so it wouldn't go off the table he was working on. And he said,
Holy moly.
This is some of the worst track in the country. And that now is 110 mile an hour high speed Amtrak. So it's a neat story. The book is 208 pages, loaded with color pictures, roster information for both CMNW and Gateway Western, and their motive power was made up of ex Conrail Penn Central GP38s and Western Pacific Jeep 40s, most all of which never saw a drop of fresh paint initially. So a lot of patch pictures in there too, for if you're either Western Pacific or Conrail fan. It's fun to see those kind of out of their element, working second careers. So fun book. It's available from White River Productions at shop.whiteriverproductions.com. And it has a pre-sale, pre-publication price discount is available through the end of October. And then it's available everywhere there. I think a lot of places are taking pre-orders on it as well. So shop around and look. And if you buy from regular booksellers like Ron's Books, you'll find it there too.
Awesome stuff.
New products, model railroading new products, because Ray says it's model railroading season. So it is. It is. We'll kick off with, how about a Ford pickup truck with, what is the one feature you'd like? Do you want Blue Cruise or what's the Ford self-driving system? Or do you need Sirius XM already installed in your pickup truck? Or would you like to have that high railer equipment so you can just drop the axles down and take off on the rails?
Well, boy, that last option could really get you in trouble, couldn't it? The temptation to jump on it, and especially abandoned rails. Like I'm thinking like the old Lion secondary out in New York where NS doesn't run anymore, and just see if you could sneak on that. Yeah,
that way you've not recorded saying any of
no.
But yes, that would be a nice feature. Yes, I'd love to be sitting in a Ford dealership. I want heated and cooled seats. And I'm going to make sure I got the big cup holders. Oh, and I need the high railer thing for the front and rear bumpers. Well, Atlas is going to make that for you. The Ford F-150 as they're calling it the high railer. And I think I'm trying to think of I think this was the River Point Station tooling, perhaps. And I can't remember if they ever offered this or not. It's a new model for Atlas, and it'll have the axles on the front and back end, and it's a typical pickup truck with like all the toolboxes and things on the truck bed. There's about a half dozen road names that'll be available for this: Union Pacific, BNSF, some odd ones too, like Reading and Northern. And there's a Chicago Metra truck. There's also a white unlettered, so you can have your own home road. And that's an HO scale Ford F-150 high railer pickup truck, has just been announced by Atlas for HO scale. And I think that'll be a fun piece to have. You see those all the time now.
Yeah, for sure. And then what's neat about it as well is for the CN version, they did the body as red, which I believe is exclusive to them. Everybody else has got a white. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that unlettered one is perfect. I'm thinking, if you're modeling a modern like Genesee and Wyoming Railroad, you could put their logo on it. Or, hey, we love our freelance folks, so there's your unlettered high railer for your freelance railroad. And they got NS in here. They've got Union Pacific, BNSF. Hello, Mark, Eric, and Conrail as well. So covering quite a bit of railroad with this CSX. So they got all the big ones in there, and they got a couple small ones, and one that you can make your own too. So very cool offering from Atlas.
Yeah, very cool piece. Another from Atlas. I've had a lot of emails on this. My in-scale reviewers have talked this up too. 53-foot modern refrigerator trailer is coming from Atlas and in-scale. This is going to have 3 different refrigeration units, early and late carrier, and then a Thermo King. That's the piece that sits on the front end of the trailer. It's got 2 different rear door styles. Again, I think these are depending on the road name that it's going to come in. But this is a 53-foot modern refrigerated trailer, is a new announcement from Atlas in scale.
And I've seen so many of these when I'm sitting trackside and watching.
Sure. Yeah,
these names: Frozen Food Express in England and Clipper. I've seen them all. I've seen all these. So this is going to be a really cool offering here. And the folks in N-Scale, Prime Intermodal, I've seen. Very cool. Very cool offering.
It's an awesome piece. And I like especially that it's not just a one and done, that you've got the 2 different rear tailgate doors. and then 3 different refrigeration units. So nice attention there for a trailer from Atlas. Another one from Atlas, this will be their second freight car release in Z scale, 1/2/20th of real life.
Are we
Multi-Max.
shrinking? We went from HO to N. Now we're into
Into
Z.
Z.
We're just getting smaller and smaller,
Smaller
and
and smaller. But
smaller.
yes, Atlas, they've got a 53-foot. The Evans double plug boxcar was their first Z scale release. And now they're adding a Multi-Max auto carrier, which is a modern auto rack. And boy, when you talk about like what do you get by going down in size to some of the smaller scales, you always hear the N scale guys talking about, well, I can run more prototypical length trains with big cars like auto carriers. So imagine in Z scale, because N is 1/160th, this is 1/220th. So a whole run of Z scale auto carriers would not probably run the length of your arm. And you'd have, a nice prototypical looking group. This is a all new tooling, all new addition to Atlas in Z scale, and that's just been announced. So all those are 3 new announcements, HO, N, and Z, that you can all find on Atlas's website.
Very cool. We covered HO, N, and Z all in one
How about
company
that?
and 3
One company
releases.
knocking it
Awesome.
out. Neat stuff. Just delivered from Athearn Genesis. There's a new run of GP39-2s. And in that group, there's a number of neat road names there. Phase 1s, I think, for the most part, is what's in there. What I like, there's like 3 different Delaware and Hudson paint schemes. And like
Yes.
the one I'm reviewing from Model Railroad News is solid blue with like gray silver trucks and a yellow snowplow on front. But lots of neat road names in there. I think there's a couple of patched and like secondary owners are in the group as well. That GP39-2 is kind of one of those, I won't say forgotten, but not when you think of a lot of the really popular EMDs, it's when you kind of have to stop and take a double take on as to who owned like both the straight GP39s from the 60s and then the 1970s and later's GP39-2. So if you're not really familiar with them, do some looking on those and see if your railroad or railroad you like had them. And it is a neat prototype to have.
Let's talk about those D&H units. So you mentioned that you have the all blue one with the silver trucks. Mm-hmm. There's one with a blue, black trucks and a yellow nose. And then there is one that's blue, black trucks with a chevron nose. Are those all 3 really D&H paint schemes?
Yes. There's no legendary liveries among those. That's all legit
Wow.
D&H. Just kind of that. I remember looking at those when they were announced, and so that's been a little while back and trying to remember who, what, where, and when. But that's a neat group. I'm eager to pull some of that information back out again as I prepare the review on this other one. D&H, I think, is just a fun road. I mean, that's up in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, when I'm out traveling, I do some sales calls out in New York, and I love going under overpasses, and I'm looking, like staring to see what logo's bleeding through. The D&H is awesome because they just got the shield and the D&H mounted on the bridge. Yeah, that's always fun to find those out in the middle of nowhere, maybe somewhere between Schenectady and Binghamton, maybe out in Oneonta and Worcester and everywhere in between on the old freight main. So yeah, it's definitely cool to see that. And it's cool to see these GP39s and these 3 different schemes from Athearn.
Athearn Genesis release, yes, and available it's got LED lighting, Tsunami 2 for the DCC equipped versions, and really full featured, wonderful model, naturally delivered, ready to roll in road specific. Another all new Alco. What Alco has never been done? I mean, I'd have to stop and think on a Alco diesel that we've never had a model of. I'm sure there are some. The Century 415, Bowser has had that in the works for several years and recently shared some early sample pictures. The model's getting closer and closer to delivery. I'm really excited for it. There's so many Alco fans out there, and I count myself among those. In fact, that recent book by Tom Carver, Alco Centuries, which is a White River production, full disclosure release, is a beautiful book that covers all of the Century models from the 1960s. And the little 415 is a mid-1960s arrival. It was the almost center cab. It's a little offset, but the 4-axle switcher. And the 415s are coming from Bowser. This will be the first really serious, legit model in plastic ever done for this Alco before there was American Train and Tracks Yugoslavian import from the late 1960s that was more for like the train set market and had several things about it that flag it from being very prototypically accurate. And Bowser is really going all out here with there's 3 different cab heights, and I believe they're knocking out 2 of them, the tall and mid cab heights in this first release, Spokane, Portland, and Seattle, Burlington Northern, which was a secondary owner after the SP&S, 2 looks for Rock Island, maroon and yellow, and then red and yellow. They're really neat demonstrator in gray, and the demonstrator is the odd duck with it's got a round fan for its radiator, whereas the others had grill work on that top part of that hood. Southern Pacific with the super light package all over it, and I think it has the tall cab. There's a few other road names as well. I think I was so excited on these, I pre-ordered both of the Rock Islands when it was announced, and then I've gone back and ordered one of the demonstrators because I love that gray, white, red, and black paint scheme. And I can't remember if I ordered, I think I might have ordered an SP&S. So the more I look at these, the more expensive it gets.
That happens.
It does, but it's a neat piece. And like so many folks, I can't say no to an Alco, and that's such an odd duck. You got to have it. But that's coming from Bowser. There will be silent DC versions as well as sound equipped DCC versions as well. Really neat model, fun piece. And again, this is the first legit plastic, road specific, correctly done Century 415. So yet another Alco crossed off the list of, gee, I wonder if somebody ever would make. Yeah, they will. And there it is.
I know another Alco fan, and I'm sure that may lead to one of these Century 415s being patched out for the Riverbelt line, and that would be our executive producer, Paul Cassar. So well, I'm willing to bet we might be seeing one of these in Sydney, Australia before too long.
And I know some of them did. I'm trying to think which one did. Maybe it was the Monongahela Connecting, but at least 1 or 2, I think, of the 415s did go down under. And I think one of them may have come back. I'm not sure. I have to look at that. But neat stuff. Neat stuff. I did Century 415s in diesel era in the last year or so, and I think I covered everybody, all the road names. So I would be in there as well. So check that out. You can look up dieselera.com. And again, I think I did that issue in the last year or two when this Bowser project was coming together. So lots of prototype information and pictures available there. Southern Pacific, and Southern Pacific. There's so much SP passenger stuff, given that the road in its later years of passenger service was not considered the most friendly, I think, or most aggressive passenger carrier. But boy, we're getting some great SP stuff. Both HO and N-scale models have, I think they've shipped, or they are shipping. I know Bob Zink, that's a big SP guy on the West Coast, got early samples of the HO scale version. I'm talking about that SP 3/4 dome lounge car. Wow. Have you seen pictures of this?
I haven't seen pictures, but I just clicked on the website, and the first 25 seconds of the video that those fun folks up at Rapido Trains put together is wild because it's like a drone flight, but through the model itself. This is wild. You have to go, folks, right now. Just take your phone, pause the podcast, go to rapidotrains.com and check out that video. That is wild what they're doing up there. Very cool stuff. But let's talk about the models, not the videos. Although, everybody should go check that out because that's really awesome work.
I don't think anybody does. Everybody does neat videos, but Rapido Trains, it is an art form that they really take it to a different level, and that's so cool. But yeah, that SP 3/4 length dome car, similar to the all domes that we know from like Auto Train and Santa Fe's big domes of the kind of the late 1950s. The 3/4 length dome car is just as you would think. It's not quite a full dome, but it looks like it. Southern Pacific was the only owner of those, and they're doing several SP paint schemes. They're also doing Amtrak. Some of them did make it over to Amtrak. And like one of those I remember seeing on the CPKC when they did the final Spike train a year or two ago, that there's one of those in the Canadian Pacific private train operation. HO and N-scale versions of this car are available, loaded with detail. Naturally, Rapido's underbody detail is spectacular, but the car also has full interior and lighting, I mean, just an amazing car. And again, done in both HO and in scale. The other SP thing that's just been announced, this is only in HO right now. This is a Pacific Car and Foundry, the Southern Pacific Economy baggage car. And economy, not so much like you're not, you can't put expensive luggage in this car. Not that kind of economy, but economy in kind of the Spartan look of the car, that it was a very plain baggage car that PCNF built for the SP. And again, kind of a surprise. This is one of those you would think only in brass, and was amazed to see this as an announcement. So yet again, another one of those, wow, who'd have thought that would get made as a ready to roll plastic model, but it will be. And you can find that on Rapido's website as well, newly announced. That's only in HO at the moment. I think I did ask Jordan at Rapido about in scale, and I think I kind of got that we're looking at it. So I don't think there's a commitment on it yet. But again, they do a lot of things in both, but HO for sure on the SP economy baggage cars.
Very cool.
Have you seen the new release? And these have just arrived. In fact, I unboxed a Burlington Northern GP39E, which is actually a GP30 rebuilt, is a new rivet counter release from Scale Trains, along with other regular just GP30s. But that GP39E is a really odd duck, where they kind of shave off the streamline, cowl that was over the top of that. Basically the signature piece of the Jeep 30 is they rebuilt the unit. It's like, oh, you took the cool part off, but neat model. And they knock out, I think, the middle fan in the back. I mean, really, again, wow, this would have been a RPM winner for anybody that wanted to do all the work. And yet all the work is literally, well, you just open the box, take it out and set it on the track. And that's Burlington Northern. Now, in the rest of that run, did you see that there's a patched or faded chassis system GP30? And I really thought they caught the look of those. I remember seeing those in the very late 80s, in the early, I think it's really a CSX is what it's now sublettered as, that model. But that striping of the chassis units would kind of rot and peel away. So you'd have the yellow underneath, but the other colors would start cracking and disappearing. And they've really done a great job with that in this new GP30 run. That's a neat looking model. I love so many of those now, the faded, the patch, just the odd paints that just come right out of the box. And that chassis system rivet counter Jeep 30 and HO scale is a really neat example of that. Lots of other cool road names. There's Penn Central in both white worms, and then the red, I think it's a red P with a white C, which was kind of that odd. There's a handful of Penn Central units that got red C's and red P's, and they've included that in the run. So new group of GP30s. And speaking of a cool model, I mean, the EMD Jeep 30, I think if you went around asking what are some of the coolest diesels of all time, I'm sure the GP30 would be high on that list. And it's always been a favorite of mine. And the Scale Trains model is just spectacular. Such a well done rendering. It's nice that we have so many nice examples now for this, given back when I was a little kid, there was just that first Athearn Blue Box attempt that was hard to find. And then when you found them, like, oh, I see why they don't make this anymore. And then Lionel HO got the one in the mid 70s that was much better, but still had some shortcomings. So today, there's a good one from Walther's Proto, Broadway Limited, Scale Trains. I mean, if you need a GP30, you're not scratching your head thinking, boy, why doesn't somebody make a good model of that? Oh, there's all kinds of them. So new run of those are available now from Scale Trains. And check out the other news. There's Scale Trains has got new stuff in scale. And of course, they've got some S scale as well. So lots of neat stuff there.
Yeah, very cool. And you were mentioning the faded. They also had a faded Santa Fe unit too. So really neat that they're opening up to these more pre-weathered right out of the box. Like you said, bring that faded look right to your layout right out of the box. Very cool stuff.
It's very cool. I mean, whether you're a real operator or you're a collector like me, I love collecting those faded units just as much, even though they won't turn a wheel just like the pristinely painted models in my collection, but it's very cool to have them.
Well, you'll get the best of both worlds. You'll get a locomotive that can stay in the box, but it's still
it already looks like I did something.
There you go. It's a win for Tony.
Everything. Very cool. Speaking of a winner, tangent scale models, Pullman Standard 4750, a classic, one of their first freight cars that was brought out for that great line of high-end models. There's a new group of these that just arrived. In fact, as we're recording this, these have just landed in the last day or so, of 4750s and HO. The neat one in that group, I thought, and now is it Caney? There's a patched Chicago Northwestern that I think is
Yes.
really awesome, speaking of the patched ones. But new road names in this group, there's Southern. There's a number of them that I'd seen over the years that I would think that would have been made before, but a nice new group of road names, multiple road numbers, road accurate on these things, or production accurate as well. Pullman Standard 4753 bay covered hoppers, new from Tangent scale models, and those are available now, as all things are from Tangent, when they announce it, they're rolling, and you better move quick because, as you know, they disappear quick.
I got a phone call from the aforementioned Matthew Fricks today as we're recording this, and he said, Tangent just messed up my model railroad budget. Because this is what Tangent does, right? They just
do.
say,
Yeah.
surprise, here's a release.
Oh,
and a lot of these 4750s check boxes for him, and they check some boxes for me as well. I've been seeing those Foster Farm cars patched out on the CSX running on the water level route. I've seen them in Syracuse and DeWitt Yard, but they've got them now patched, and you could add to it because they've got them patched here. They got them in their original form, and then they have them patched out, I think INTX, but they've also got the Foster Farms also patched out on them. And I laugh because it looks like Wheel of Fortune. It's like all blanked out squares one at a time. So it's like, and I know I posted that picture in the Friends of Around the Layout podcast group, and I said, anyone want to buy a vowel?
I'd like to buy a vowel. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but very, very cool. Another awesome release. Tangent really knocks it out of the park with their cars, especially the 4750s. They are almost addicting to collect these.
Very
if you've got a grain mill, feed mill of some form, or whatever you're hauling, these fit in so many roads. So very cool release again from David over at Tangent.
Really, really awesome. A new kit. Now you're thinking, what, me excited by a kit? The guy who, it's like I'd have to go looking and see, is my super glue completely dried up? And do I have a sharp X-Acto blade that I can put in that poor knife that hasn't been used in a while? Yes, Walther's Cornerstone HO scale railroad paint shop kit. Doesn't that look cool? Go look it up on the Walther's website. It's a new addition to the Cornerstone line. What I think is awesome about it is it would be fun to set that up with like a row of these faded or patched hopper cars and things, and then new ones coming out the other side.
Right.
That it would make a really nice setup thing. But this is a new kit from Cornerstone, and it basically, I think it's a couple of stalls, and it's got a dust collector is the one piece that sits on the side of the building, and so you can set up in like your railroad facility a paint shop. And so even if you have a small railroad, if you're a bigger railroad, it could be something that they'd have off, because a lot of railroads painted in different spots. The Wabash, for example, back in the day, I know of 2 or 3 different smaller locations like Moberly, Missouri and such had paint shops. So it would fit on a lot of locations in a railroad or in a railroad system. But that's a new announcement from Walther's Cornerstone. And then I have one last thing, because I know we were saying it's officially model railroad season. And as that happens, the holidays are rolling in. In fact, I was in a Dollar General the other day, and the person said, I'll be right with you. We're pushing Halloween out to bring in Christmas. And it's like, wow, already?
They're pushing Halloween out already for Christmas.
I know. Well,
it's September.
I know.
We haven't got by Halloween yet.
I think it was kind of moving down. Like there's always those main aisles of seasonal things. I always get excited late winter, early spring when I go in and they've got lawn and garden stuff. It's like, oh, good, maybe winter will end. But yeah, Christmas was taking over the big stuff, and Halloween was moving kind of second tier.
Holy moly!
It happens faster and faster. But here is a Christmas idea that would be good for a model train person, or somebody that maybe is not so much model trains, but it's kind of that flavor. This is from the Williams by Bachmann line. I don't have any of this, but I'm intrigued by it. This is O scale or O gauge, easy street series of, it's not slot cars, but it's like slot car track. So it's got 2 lanes. They have like a tow truck. There's a really cool station wagon that's like those old time like Cadillac ambulances. In fact, I think they make a red and white ambulance one with a light on the top.
They do.
And they work on this easy street system. Again, it's O gauge. It's not exact scale stuff. This is kind of toy train looking, but that's part of the cool thing about it too. There's like a sedan that I think they do a taxi cab. They do a Ringling Brothers circus car. There's a police car maybe. It's a fun thing. There's a starter set that has 2 vehicles and like a loop of track with the controllers and everything that retails for about $200. So look around for a good price on those. And then there's a whole group of different vehicles, but just kind of a fun, different thing. Because, Ray, honestly, all of us model train enthusiasts just can't help ourselves but find other things to stick our noses into and think, I need this. And anytime I see this section in like the Bachmann stuff, and this came up recently, I think, because they had some new station wagons coming out, I'm like, why have I never bought a set of this? I need to have this. And so check it out. It's the Easy Street series, Williams by Bachmann, O gauge, and see if you need to, for some reason, start racing around station wagons and tow trucks. I'm thinking I do need it.
And it looks like they got a bunch of customizable pieces for this as well. So you talked about the starter kit, but they also have 90-degree crossovers. They got 21-inch diameter curve track and on and on and on, turnouts for it, and left and right, and everything else and everything in between. So yeah, definitely check out their website.
Fun. Yeah. So there's something different. If you're looking for an interesting Christmas gift, I think that starter set would be a fun thing. And again, I think the retail's $199 on it. So look around at places like Train World and other stuff, and I think you'll find a good price on that. And boy, I think that's on my Christmas list. I think this may be the year that I go to O-gauge station wagon racing.
Awesome stuff. Hey, you needed another new hobby, like I don't know,
I know. But yeah.
Enjoy. Well,
so there you go.
Fun stuff. Well, you ready for something else new here at Around the Layout podcast?
What's that?
We're going to have a new segment added to the What's Happening in Model Railroading show. Each month, Eric Hansman, who runs the RPM calendar on his blog, is going to join us, and he's going to tell us all about the upcoming RPM events. And for our very first one, here's Eric Hansman with the RPM report.
Hello, Ray, and everyone on the Around the Layout podcast. I'm Eric Hansman with your RPM update. RPMs are railroad prototype modeler events and have grown in popularity over the last several years. The next few weeks are just loaded with RPM meets. The Anthracite Railroad Modelers Meet is September 19th through 21st in Hamburg, Pennsylvania. The Colorado Rail Proto Meet is September 27th and 28th in Greeley, Colorado. The Central Ohio RPM is October 9th through 11th in Marion, Ohio. The Los Angeles Area Prototype Modelers Meet is October 11th in Bellflower, California. RPM Naperville is set for October 16th through 18th in Naperville, Illinois. The Southern Pacific Historical and Technical Society has a convention in Tucson, Arizona. They'll have a one-day RPM on October 19th. The Bridgetown Railroad Prototype Modelers Meet is October 25th in Portland, Oregon. And the Northern Alberta Railway Modelers Meet will close out October on the 26th in Edmonton, Alberta. I'm presenting at RPM Naperville. Information and links for all these events and many more can be found on the RPM calendar, a resource page on my blog, designbuildop.hansmans.org. The page includes a link to several photo albums from previous RPM events. I'll be back next month for another RPM update. Until then, let the prototype be your guide.
Well, thank you, Eric. And you can find all of those links on our website, aroundthelayout.com/187. Quite a list of events going on, wouldn't you say, Tony?
That's amazing. You don't realize it. That's a great addition because that is something everybody likes to know about. So really awesome.
Now, glad that Eric Hansman's going to be joining us on the team. He'll be providing that RPM report every month, as he mentioned. So definitely check out his blog and check out the RPM calendar. Again, you can find the links at aroundthelayout.com/187, where you can also find the links for all the items that Tony and I talked about today on the show. Where can we find some more Tony Cook?
You can always look at shop.whiteriverproductions.com and check out Model Railroad News, which comes out every month, 100 pages of what's new in all different scales in model railroading with new product information and reviews of the latest things landing in model railroading. Diesel Era, 4 times a year, quarterly also from White River Productions, and Nationally HO Collector Annual. The latest one is AHM's Freight Cars, is the 2025 annual, and it's available from White River.
Awesome stuff. Well, Tony, we got a lot happening in model railroading. Thank you so much for coming by and telling us all about it.
Thanks, Ray. We'll check in again next month.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Around the Layout. Learn more about today's episode, check out past shows, and much more on our website, aroundthelayout.com. Show your support by becoming an operating crew member at aroundthelayout.com/crew. Follow us on social media, aroundthelayout.com/social. And send us your feedback, aroundthelayout@gmail.com. Thanks for hanging out with us around the layout.